guys, I'm Bear Dellinger here with Morimoto, and today we're going to be doing some 4Banger installs. If you're big into off-roading and you like that off-roading feel, the 4Bangers are going to be the pod lights that you are going to want on your Jeep Wrangler. So let's get into the install and show you what it's all about. Now before we start the install, it's important to choose the right LED pods. You can put any of your 4Banger pod lights in the fog kit. So let's talk about the brightness and beam patterns. So the 4Bangers, we have two different levels. We have an entry level, which uses a Nichia chip, and we call this the NCS version. Now we have the secondary level. This is for the premium users, the off-roading, the top dog of pod lights. This application uses the OSRAM chip, and we call it the HXB or the HX Boost. So once you decide what application level you would like, you will then move on to what driving pattern you want. We have three different patterns to choose from: Spotlight, the wide, or a combo driving pattern. We have all three patterns in an amber or white. So with our wide pattern, many people are more so drawn to the wide pattern to help increase night visibility and to use it as a fog light replacement. No matter if you choose the NCS or the HX Boost pod light, you will experience the same driving beam pattern. Now with our combo beam pattern, it is a super cool spot beam with a little bit more fill. It still stacks up to the competition very well, but remember, most people will choose the white beam pattern over something like this. Now onto the spot beam pattern. Still an incredible bright beam pattern that is tight. It looks like a square that is done on purpose because we at Morimoto know a thing or two about beam patterns. All three patterns come in either a white or amber color. But one thing to note is your light output would be a little bit less with the yellow lenses. On the higher end, the HXB uses the OSRAM chip, but it doesn't come in yellow. The white light has to pass through the yellow lens and losing about 30% of its brightness. Still an incredible option. Something neat about the entry level, those Nichia chips do come in a yellow option. Having a yellow light pass through a yellow lens, it doesn't lose as much, so the light output is closely matched to that of the white counterpart. The overall footprint of the 4Banger is approximately 30% smaller than alternatives that offer comparable performance. This allows for an unbeatable 3OEM Plus-like fitment when paired with Morimoto's fog light or A-pillar mounting kits. With a standard -3-degree aim, the beam pattern produced by the NCS wide beam model is designed to be compliant with the latest SAE F3 regulations for use as a street legal fog light. Now the HXB wide beam has a very similar beam pattern, but too much intensity to be considered a street legal fog light. And lastly, the Morimoto 4Bangers are backed up with a limited lifetime warranty. So enough talking about the product, let's get straight into the install. All right, now that you know all about the Morimoto 4Bangers, let's get to installing the bracket so we can get it installed on the Jeep. This is a very easy process too, comes with all the hardware that you need. So first off, we're going to be taking the 4Banger right here, and we're going to be uninstalling the back bolts back here. They're two shorter bolts, and then we're going to be installing a U-bracket at the very top of this. So now that you got both of those bolts uninstalled, you're going to be using the two longer bolts, and you're going to be using the U-bracket that's included in the kit. Now when installing this, make sure that you put the divoted side up against the 4Banger. So now put those longer screws in and just screw it down. So now you're going to take this plastic piece that came inside of the kit. Make sure that the circle side is facing towards the bracketry so you can put the adjustable screw in it at the very end. So now you're going to take your 4Banger and take the bracket and feed it through just like so. When doing this process, make sure that the hole on the top of the bracket lines up with the adjustment hole. And there's also two little divots on the very side of your 4Banger. Make sure that they line up and you'll hear a very slight snap. Once that's in, you then can take your other hardware that came in the kit, and you're going to be moving on to your spring. This will slide directly in this area right here, like that. And then you're going to be taking your long screw, and you're just going to screw it in, and this will help adjust your 4Banger and your fog light housing. Now that you got that screw in there, you're going to be taking a H4 and just tighten that down. So you don't have to tighten this down fully just yet. This will help adjust your vertical angle with your 4Banger once it's installed into the Jeep. Once that's done, you're going to be taking the outer part of your bracket and you're going to line it up with the little divots that's on your 4Banger bracket. Now just take the 4 included screws and just tighten them down. Okay, now that you got those 4 installed, your bracket in 4Banger is fully installed. Last thing that you're going to be doing is take the Morimoto harness that came with it as well. You're just going to plug it into your 4Banger, and this will allow you to plug it into your OEM harness on your Jeep. So first things first, for the fog light replacement, you're going to be removing the grille on the Jeep. There's 4 plastic tabs on the inside, and then there's going to be 2 on the outer side. All right, now that you have all those pieces out, you can go ahead and continue on removing your front grille. You're just going to be tugging on the very base of the grille, just like so, and do it along the whole base of the grille. And before you fully remove it, make sure to disconnect your OEM turn signals as well. And now that you got both of those disconnected, you can go ahead and set the grille aside. So the next piece that you're going to be removing is this plastic trim piece. It's between the bumper and the main grille as well. You'll just be taking a wedge tool, and you're just going to wedge 2 of these bolts out from the grille area. Now that you have both of those plastic clips out, you can just remove this plastic trim piece as well. All right, so next you're going to do is unplug your harness from your OEM harness. This gentleman's already got some aftermarket fog lights on, so your harness may look a tad bit different. So when you're on our website, make sure to put in your year, make, and model so you get the proper wiring harness with your 4Banger kit. So with the next step, it's a tad bit hard to see on camera, so I'm just gonna show you right here, guys. On your OEM kit, there's going to be 4 holes on the sides. Same thing for your 4Banger bracket. Once you get those 4 screws out, you can take your OEM fog light, and then you can put your 4Banger in place and then put those 4 screws back. All right, so now we're going to be moving on to the 4Banger A-pillar kit. It's a very easy install on this Jeep. This is going to be the bracket that you're going to be using today. Make sure when you're using this, it lines up properly with the bolts that are on your Jeep already. So on this Jeep, it already has an aftermarket bracket, which will not interfere with the 4Banger kit. We're going to go ahead and unloosen both of these 2 bolts. We're going to take them fully out, just like so, and then just set those aside. And then before you put the 4Banger A-pillar bracket, make sure you're going to be putting this plastic piece right here, and you're going to put it vertically so the wires can route on the very side of the bracket. Just like so. Once you got that plastic piece on, you're just going to line it up with your OEM holes, and then you're going to tighten those back down. Now that you got the bracket on, we're going to be moving to the 4Banger. With this kit, it also comes with a U-bracket. Whenever you're mounting this onto your 4Banger, make sure that the bracket is making a C, just like so. With this kit, it comes with hardware also. You're going to be getting 1 large bolt, a washer, a nut, and then 2 side screws that will mount up to the side of your 4Banger. So first thing you're going to take is the larger bolt, and you're just going to slide that right into the area, and then you're going to take your washer and then your nut. I'm just going to screw that on, and then we'll tighten it down fully towards the end because we're going to now mount the 4Banger. So now you can go ahead and just place your 4Banger into the Morimoto bracket, and those 2 existing screws, you're just going to screw them on the side of your 4Banger. And then you can tighten those down as well. So this basically will just help adjust your vertical angle of your 4Banger. We're going to keep ours decently horizontal with the vehicle, and we're going to screw the big bolt down last so then we can aim the 4Banger which direction we would like it to be. So now that you got your 4Banger and brackets installed, we're going to go ahead and move to the harness. We're going to start off with the relay. With this, you want to make sure to always mount this vertically so no water can get in it. So on this Jeep, there's already a hole right here. We're going to utilize that, and we're just going to place the relay and then take a nut and bolt. We got the relay in vertically. Now that the battery is connected, what we're going to do is run the harness all the way over to the driver's side. The longest part of the harness will go towards the light that's furthest from the battery, and the shortest will go towards the one closest to the battery. For this one example, this is going to be light 1, and it's going to go towards the passenger 4Banger. We're going to go ahead and get those connected, and then we're going to get to the switch. Just like that, and then we're just going to tuck the harness away from us for just a tad bit. And there's these 2 bolts on the very top. We're going to get those up and out. And the purpose for this is so you can run your harness up underneath there and then have it nice and clean. And once that's ran, you just can tighten it right back down. And don't forget, there's that little plastic piece so you can take your harness and just clip it on the very side, so then your harness is just nice and clean right there. And once you got that done, you can just tighten down those bolts. So next up, we're going to disconnect the ground and power. And then you're just gonna slide your ground onto the ear and tighten that back down as well. And then same thing for your power. Okay, now that you got both your 4Bangers installed, mounted, and the harness ran over, we're gonna go ahead and move over to your Morimoto switch. So there's a couple options when installing this. You could use your OEM grommet that's already in your firewall, or you can use a step bit and use the grommet that is on the harness and run it through it that way. So we're just gonna go ahead with option 1, using the Jeep's OEM grommet in its firewall. A really cool factor on the Morimoto switch is that it has a disconnect area, so it's easier to run through the firewall and it makes the install so much faster. All you have to do is unscrew the barrel connector, and then you can lay your switch aside. So on this Jeep, it's a little hard to see where that grommet is, but the general area will be in the right fender well up against the firewall for this. So what we'll do, we'll take that harness and we're just gonna run it right through the grommet area and then pass it through the firewall. Okay, now that we have the harness passed through the firewall, we're gonna go ahead and pull it through all the way. So you're just gonna drop this plastic piece and then just find that harness and then just pull it through. Now that you got that pulled through, we're gonna go ahead and move over to the Morimoto switch. With this Jeep owner, he's going to eventually be upgrading to a S-Pod system, so he'll have all the switch panels and everything on a screen, which is pretty cool as well. But in this case, if you do want to install the Morimoto switch, you can install it anywhere in the Jeep. But our preference, we're gonna do it on the right side of the steering wheel. Now when installing this, make sure that there's no interference behind the panel, no metal, no other plastic pieces or wirings, because you don't want issues like that. So when you do this, make sure to take a 3/4 step bit and drill it slightly through that plastic panel. Once that's done, you can then take your Morimoto switch. There is a metal ring around it. You're going to just screw that up and off, just like so. And once you have that hole drilled, you can just take your Morimoto switch and just route it through, just like that. And then take that metal ring and route it back up. And make sure that this is nice and snug up against the plastic piece and also the switch. This will help the switch to not move and then back out over time. And once that's done and placed in your panel, you then can now connect it to your waterproof connector and get that nice and snug as well. All right, now that when you're finished with the switch, all you have to do is just route the harness back underneath the steering wheel and get it all zip tied up, nice and clean. And make sure to tighten and aim your 4Bangers as well, and then you're finished with the install. All right guys, well that is a wrap for our Morimoto fog light replacements and A-pillar brackets for your Jeep JK. If you have any other questions, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. And if you want any other Morimoto parts for your Jeep, don't forget to type in your year, make, and model at morimotolighting.com, and we'll see you guys there.